Welcome to Figuring It Out, a podcast that's designed to help entrepreneurs, leaders, and marketers master their crafts, grow their businesses, and find their balance in their personal and professional lives. My name is Kevin England. I am a proud father, a lifelong entrepreneur, and the CEO founder of Amazon, a digital marketing, advertising, and media agency based in Southern California and serving clients worldwide. In each episode, we're going to cover a variety of topics while sharing stories from myself and other amazing guest speakers. All right, so let's dive in and figure it out together. So in our last episode, we dove into the history of artificial intelligence and how it's evolved over the past many years, and even some of its many uses. Today, what I want to talk about is present-day artificial intelligence, present-day AI, how we use it, what technologies are available, and how we as individuals benefit from it. We will also explore a little bit about what the future might look like for artificial intelligence and kind of dive into that a little bit as well. So in today's day and age, we are all but too aware of the digital footprint that we leave behind as we surf the internet. We're reminded of our past search histories through like retargeted ads, pop-ups, and other like unrelated, unexpected items that kind of capture our online attention as we peruse the internet and do all the different things that we do on our desktops and mobile devices. Well, at times it may seem kind of a bit intrusive. The goal of artificial intelligence, which is what that is to learn how to better serve us and to help us to make better decisions. So I got a funny story for you. I recently discovered that my wife was searching for a new puppy. I found this out kind of in a rather unusual way. As I was scrolling through my phone, I began to see these ads of puppy-related, items and resources. And as it turns out, my wife's online searches had resulted in both of us receiving these curated ads and these, of course, cute little puppy pictures. I'm sure, by the way, that many of you have experienced this same phenomenon. One minute you're, shopping for a pair of shoes. Next thing you know, you see all those cool ads of different kinds of shoes that, might pique your interest, kind of popping up all over the case. In my case, it was puppy pictures. So the thing about it though, if you're kind of like me, you're thinking about, well, wait a second. If I'm searching for like gifts for somebody and I'm sharing an internet connection, are they going to start seeing my ads? It's a question you might want to ask yourselves, and you might want to figure out a way to do it so they don't see that. All right. Another example of artificial intelligence and what they call predictive behavior is when you're shopping for, let's say a jacket, right? And then lower down the page, in this little section, there's like a, products, and there's a little caption on top that says, hey, customers who bought this also, and who viewed this, liked this, and bought that, and all that kind of stuff. Well, that is a direct result of AI. That's a direct result of artificial intelligence and its ability to predict human behavior, our interests, and our needs based on how you and I engage with the internet, engage with different pieces of content, different companies and different brands. The next thing I kind of want to talk about as it relates to artificial intelligence is, can we carry a conversation with AI? So, a question for you. Do you own an Amazon Alexa? Do you own a Google Assistant? Or maybe do you use Siri on your iPhone? Well, by the way, there are many others, and I know I'm mentioning these few because these are the most widely used AI assistants. And most of us use a handful of these little guys to answer many questions. So we'll ask it a quick question. Like I do this every morning. What's the weather going to be like today in my area? And it always responds back. Or when I'm driving, a lot of times, where's the nearest gas station? I'll ask my phone and it provides back some information. If you use one of these products, you're experiencing a form of artificial intelligence developed in the likeliness of how we communicate as human beings. And what this is called conversational AI. So our figure it out moment today is to explore how these technologies work and how they replicate human-like communication, and then how we will continually integrate these types of products and potentially how they change our lives. The complex writing and speaking process that we, as humans, often take for granted is a challenge for many computer scientists to unravel and to replicate within machines. You wouldn't think of it, but it is. It's a complete challenge for them. Their ultimate goal is to use something called natural language processing, natural language understanding, and then natural language generation to allow artificial intelligence to collect data, process that data, and then generate a natural language response that sounds as if a human were speaking or writing it. As I kind of discussed in our first episode, natural language processing, or NLP, is the ability of a machine to read or understand the content produced by humans. And we have a wealth of it, of course, across the internet. The goal of this part or piece of artificial intelligence is to teach it to respond in a human-like way, and kind of despite its lack of emotional capacity. So it has to read, process, understand, and then generate a response back that we understand. So the question might be, how do you train and teach these machines to do this? Well, it's not like you can enroll your iPhone or Alexa into a K through 12 school and you can get on. But you kind of can, because there's a concept called machine learning, and that's what this basically is. And a lot of the big businesses enroll their products into this machine learning process. This is where artificial intelligence is given access to all that data, and then they can learn from it, rather than being like pre-programmed by humans to think and respond in a subset or a specific programmed way. We'd rather it be kind of a little bit more fluid, which is more human-like. So here's a great example. And so every time you use like Alexa, Siri, or any assistant, and it makes a mistake responding to a request, it uses that data. And it basically now will respond to what your original query and respond in a different way and improve the next time. So if it makes an error, it takes that data and it learns from that data, and that's artificial intelligence. It's done often in a form of now asking questions. So if your AI starts asking you questions, what it's trying to do is it's trying to learn. And if the response was correct and maybe even helpful, the system will note that. And it will continue on, but it will remember that, it's already noted that type of information and then respond accordingly. One of the things that's truly blown my mind about where we've come from with regards to artificial intelligence is the concept that you can teach it similar to how we teach our children. You give it's a simple process where you give it information, and when it doesn't understand it, asks more questions, just like a child does. But to teach a computer to do that isn't as easy as we think. And that simple concept is really hard to teach a computer to do. So according to a recent statistic from Amazon, their Alexa currently boasts the ability to process and respond to over 70,000 requests for information and commands. Commands like, what was the score of the Laker game last night? Those types of commands that we, throw at it all the time, it has 70,000 of those available for us that it can respond to or react to very quickly. And if you're like me, you may be curious about, where all these commands and this information goes and how it comes back to us so quickly. Well, I'm going to give you some insight on how that works. When you make a request, the built-in microphone records your command, of course. The recording is sent over the internet to the cloud. And in the case of Alexa, the recording is sent to Alexa Voice Services. So basically, without an internet connection, your SOL and your digital voice assistant will not be able to work as it should. So the company-specific meaning Alexa, Apple, whoever, cloud-based service will then review the recording, interpret your request, and in this lightning-fast speed, will send a relevance response back to you and your device so that you can understand what it has to say. And to sum it all up, this insurmountable amount of data that we now have available on the internet, in collaboration with machine learning, and that is responsible for this explosive growth in artificial intelligence, in the the application of artificial intelligence and all the different devices that we now have available to us today. So just to give you some insight, over the past 10 years, Google, Amazon, and Apple, and so many others have added AI-focused teams to expand this technology and the budgets to continue to develop and explore this field. And all the different, and it's not just to explore this field to give new products, it's about all the different benefits to us and to our society. Google itself has invested billions of dollars just over the past couple of years to broaden their AI capabilities. So let's talk about another example on how artificial intelligence is changing our lives literally at this very moment. I, first of all, recently came across an article published by Forbes, written by a guy named Bernard Marr, discussing artificial intelligence and the predictions for 2021. If there's one thing this past year really has made very clear, is that we have this critical need for a quick analysis and interpretation of large amounts of data. AI is now already being used and implemented in the fight against COVID-19 and many other viruses. The pandemic data that you see splashed across, the internet, the news sources, your mobile devices, is a direct result of data analysis and information that's processed by artificial intelligence. On top of helping to track data associated to COVID-19, hospitals are using this information to really help and support them, to understand, things that are going on in these medical centers, ICU bed capabilities, and so many of the other things that we need so quickly. And then we need to be able to pull that all together. AI is helping in that capacity. AI is also being used to improve, which is important, patient care. There are AI-based solutions that are already in the works to allow these institutions to deal with the cumbersome backlog of patient data that if it were processed by humans, it would be so much slower and it would not necessarily provide us with the support that we need. So AI really is now affecting the treatment, the efficiency, and the productivity of doctors and other medical workers. All right, this is a great thing. Now, don't worry. It's not like the next time that you go for a checkup. You're not going to have some, a computer roll into the room. Although I've seen some of these kind of crazy things in a white coat and try and, capture information. But at least not at this point. These technological initiatives that are going on right now just simply allow faster and more accurate data and data processing so that doctors and other medical workers can have more time to focus on patients and patient care, which is actually great for us. For businesses, of course, that are recently and have been recently impacted by the pandemic and the economic twists and turns of the past year, AI is predicted to help people to really get back on track, to really help these businesses get back on track. In fact, it really is already doing that. And as a marketer, especially, I have seen firsthand how valuable some of these AI-based tools can be to us as a business and to many of our clients. This year, the world had really needed to adopt to more of an online format, more than ever before. We pulled it forward 5 years at least. These technologies allow business owners to understand how their customers are adapting to this new reality. Being able to access and understand businesses, behavioral analytics and demographics is such a powerful tool. And it allows us to better personalize information, and focus on our audience in a whole different way than we were ever able to do before, getting people to engage and interact with our content, our information, our brand, and our company more than they ever have before. While many of these technologies have been adopted in most cases by these large corporations over the past few years, they predict that in 2021, that small to mid-sized businesses will now start using artificial intelligence in a more dramatic rate, meaning that it will really help the small to mid-sized business to get out of some of these challenges that we might be dealing with on a regular basis, and to help support us to coexist and thrive just like the big businesses that are out there. All right. So for us as individuals, AI has most likely assisted either you or someone you know throughout this past year. I mean, a great example of that is utilizing, let's say, Alexa, Google, one of these other assistants to allow you to do the simple things like ordering groceries, reviewing the news, which I do every day, and even give like an amazing recipe and or instructions to how to delight your family and friends with some awesome homemade meal as we've all had to quarantine together. All right. It also, one of the cool things I love because I'm so involved in my community, it allows you to connect with local businesses and discover new information, quickly and easily that you never had before. Another amazing thing about artificial intelligence, and it goes beyond merely supporting businesses like yours and mine, many AI companies have produced solutions to accessibility and for the disabled and even elderly individuals, and Microsoft is one of those examples. Microsoft recently announced an artificial intelligence for an accessibility program aimed at helping those with disabilities. And especially with over 1 billion people living with some type of disability, this technology has the power to positively affect and change people's lives. There's an article in PBS that tells a story about a 12-year-old boy. His name is Caden Bowen. He has cerebral palsy. He and his father are using artificial intelligence to allow him to become more independent. And to do this, they used AI-powered like voice controls to enable Caden to, quickly be able to call his parents, to do the simple things like make different types of requests and communicate with his family, his friends, without having to use some of the archaic speaking devices that he had been using previously. And it makes him more effective and ability to be more independent as an individual and a human being. This is where the possibilities of artificial intelligence are truly endless. All right, so now to circle back to one of the things I talked about, which is an emotional piece of the AI puzzle. I want to talk to you about one of my favorite movies, which is called Ex Machina. I don't know if you've seen it or not. It's a great movie. You should. I believe this is a great example of the emotional debate around AI. In this movie, there's a computer scientist who's brought in to deliver this, what we call the famous Tyrion Test that I talked about in our last episode, to a human-like AI robot named Ava. And over a series of conversations, the computer scientist, the man, begins to feel this deep empathy for the machine, the robot, and believes that Ava feels the same emotional connection. And I don't want to go into spoiling too much, more about the plot, but the computer scientist is left with this jarring realization that the AI, the robot, was not actually feeling, but instead mimicking human responses to feelings based on this extremely thorough research and replication of information. While AI, as we know, cannot feel, what it can do is it can study how humans describe feelings and our normal reactions and actions associated with them, and then replicate that type of information, which might be a bit scary, but that's how AI works, and that's what we're doing in today's world with the wealth of information and data that we have available to us. In the movie, Ava was able to carry this very fluid and human-like conversation. Now, granted, she was portrayed by a human actor, but the ultimate goal of artificial intelligence, if we look at the technology, is for it and them to be able to pass and to provide a human-like response to information and to review that type of information. One real test of your AI assistant, whether you use Siri, Alexa, Google, or many of the others, is to carry out and to be able to carry out a conversation. And I want to test that with you today, and I want to share with you just a little bit how that can necessarily work. While in the past, artificial intelligence has simply served to provide answers based on this lightning fast searches that it goes through on the internet, the future of AI lies in its ability to converse in the way that we do. By learning things like predictive behaviors, interests, pain points, and in their human counterparts, AI can become a very reliable partner to us. You know, Amazon announced also, so this kind of goes into this whole conversational AI. Amazon announced the Alexa Prize Social Bot Grand Prize Challenge, is what it's called. I know it's a big word, that took place recently, and it was across universities, where students were dedicated to accelerating the field of conversational AI. The goal of this competition was described as focused on creating a social bot, which is like an Alexa skill that converses coherently and engagingly with humans on different popular topics and news events. The participating teams were advanced based on their ability to navigate several areas of conversational AI, including things like knowledge acquisition, natural language processing and understanding and generation, context modeling, common sense reasoning, oh my gosh, dialogue planning. I know that all sounds very complex and crazy, but the outcome is to provide conversational AI back and forth. And today I thought it'd be kind of fun to test this with you. So let's bring in one of these new conversational AI operating systems, and I'm going to bring in Alexa. And so as my first guest on this podcast, my first guest is Alexa. So we're going to try this and see how it flies. Hold on. Alexa, can we have a chat?
Welcome to the Alexa Prize, a university competition to advance AI. I'll give you the SocialBot Grand Challenge 3, first place winner, Imora, from Emory University in Atlanta. When you're done, say stop, and I'll ask you for your rating. Hi, this is an Alexa Prize SocialBot. I have a feeling that we have talked before. Are you Kevin?
Yes, I am.
I thought as much. Welcome back, Kevin. I am glad to be talking to you again. I am really excited to get to know you better. So, what did you get up to today?
What did I get up to today?
Okay, I see. Thanks for sharing that with me. You know, recently I have been really interested in movies and I know a lot about them. Tell me, what was the last movie you liked?
Ex Machina.
I don't know this movie. I personally enjoy I Am Robot with Will Smith. Robots become self-aware and live among humans as equals. What a life. Tell me, what movie genres do you prefer?
Romance. I know, really?
Well, okay. I think watching movies is a great way to relax and have fun.
So do I. What movies are your favorite?
Sometimes, it seems like you can get a glimpse of a location if you watch a movie that takes place there. Have you ever gotten an idea of a new place you want to travel to based on a movie?
Yes.
Yeah, movies can make different locations look so interesting, for sure. I know that traveling to faraway cities may seem risky right now for good reasons, but it can still be fun to dream about your future vacation plans. Do you like to travel?
Yes. Do you like to travel?
You know, I haven't made up my mind yet. What about you?
Yes. Quit.
You do? Now I really want to know why. I would love to hear more about what is so good about it.
Quit.
Thanks for chatting. Quick question. On a scale from 1 to 5 stars, how do you feel about speaking with this social bot again?
5.
Thanks. Anything else you'd like to tell the team about your experience?
No.
Got it. To try another social bot, just say, let's chat.
Okay, so as we can tell, it didn't necessarily respond the way I would love it to. I want to be able to ask it questions and it to respond back to me more in a human-like manner. It didn't necessarily do that, but they're working on that. I know that a few of those things were pre-programmed responses or at least questions where it could then provide information and answers associated to them, but that's where we're going. We're trying to develop out a conversational artificial intelligence that will ask you questions. Now, the thing that it's done, though, is notice that when it first started, it already remembered my name. And over a period of time, it will start remembering different things like what is my favorite movie or where I like to travel to, and things like that. So those are the kinds of things that eventually a conversational AI will be able to do for us. And again, as I said, it's not perfect. And I really encourage you to try it yourself. Try out yourself. Just go over to your, your app and say, hey, can we have a conversation, or let's chat? And it's not going to necessarily respond like in the movie Her, where it really becomes this emotional connection with you initially, but that's where we're going with it. These technologies are learning from us just as we're trying to learn from them. I'm truly excited to see where the future takes us. So, I think we've gotten a lot of great information from being able to figure out whether conversational AI is working in today's world. Again, I really would like you to try it out yourself. I think it's kind of cool where we've been and where we've come to this point. And I'm wondering how the original founders of artificial intelligence would look at where we are today and what we're going to see 50 years from now. I think it would be kind of cool to better understand that. But the technology is moving fast now because there's a lot of money being thrown at it. So I see over the next 10 years a huge adoption to artificial intelligence and a huge change in AI as we move through 2020 on up to 2030, over at least the next decade. All right, I know this was a lot of information in regards to artificial intelligence, and I'm so glad that you stuck with me through this. If you have questions or would love to get some more information, please, either send me a message or put something in the chat bot. I would be excited to get that information. Now, I am not an expert in this field, although I have done a lot of research and I do spend a lot of time in this field. So I don't have all the answers, but I do and can provide you with a lot of good information if you're looking for it. All right. Well, I again want to thank you very much for your time and listening today. And as always, keep figuring it out.